The issue on the table is about the amendments, and as Bildwan is saying, we oppose the amendments. I said that.
ATM.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the issue of extortion is not a new thing in our country. It is something that has been prevalent for the longest time. And the Committee on Police has been seized with it, but without any tangible results. So we as the ATM are saying that let us stick to the original motion so that we get a specific committee, that will deal specifically with the issue. This is not about the numbers, but it is about the substance of the focus of the ad hoc committee. Thank you.
Thank you. The Al Jamaa Party.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, this is not an easy solution because we know that extortion and the situation is dire in our country at this stage. But currently we have got a portfolio committee on police with members of several political parties, which I would believe we would trust to do their oversight and their job. What we are asking now is, do we follow the amendment and let the Portfolio Committee on Police take on this mandate, or do we go with the initial resolution? But we are already overstretched. It's easy to say, release members from the political party that they don't do certain work, as I heard the Honourable Julius Malema indicate, but that is not always a possibility in your smaller parties, and that is our reality. At this point, I'm going to support that the Portfolio Committee of Police continue to fulfill their role on oversight. I thank you.
Thank you. The NCC.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, I serve on this committee, and extortion is rife where I live and where I work. We must accept this motion in the spirit that it is brought. It is brought, Chair, to bring a focus on extortion. That's all. We must be honest with ourselves and say that in the city of Cape Town, the DA has so much to hide that they would be against this motion, and today's arrest will prove it.
The PAC. Order, honourable members. Order. The PAC. Honourable members. Honourable members. The UAT.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Order, honourable members.
There's a battle here.
Honourable members, I want to listen to the member of the UAT. Please do not distract him. No.
Kadimambo, Chair. I have to report that 4 police officials just been arrested in the last hour in Durban, involvement in extortion now. So this matter is urgent, and the public is looking at us in our reaction. So we support the original draft. Thank you.
Good. Is there a declaration from Good? The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. As the ANC, we start by reiterating that a call for Parliament to investigate the crime of extortion can only be welcomed if we appreciate that the Portfolio Committee on Police is better placed to look into the matters of extortion and make a determination on what is the next course of action. The proposed amendment by the DA agrees with our position, and we would support it. House Chair, in our debate on the motion, we emphasize the efforts that government is taking to fight the crime of extortion and crime in general, such as strengthening the coordination of the work of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster to fight crime. On the day of the debate, House Chair, the JCPS cluster of Cabinet was meeting to look into the matter of strengthening their coordination and collaboration. We also note that government has made interventions to strengthen the intelligence community to ensure our fight against crime is strengthened through intelligence-driven interventions. We also note the collaboration agreements that are undertaken by government through the police department to ensure the working relationship between the police and the Metro Police to fight crime. These initiatives are to be rolled out to provinces in our country. These measures, therefore, say to us, we will be inconsistent with the facts if we argue that the state is failing to deal with crime. The facts are pointing that the state is doing its effort to deal with crime. Therefore, House Chair, oversight by the PC on police will further strengthen these actions. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Members, Yes, Honorable Ndlozi.
House Chair, I ask you to rule in terms of Rule 121, subsection 2, in relation to this amendment. The rule says when amendment is moved, as provided in sub-rule 1, a signed copy of the proposed amendment must be delivered to the secretary at the table without delay. I submit to the House Chair that this amendment was an ambush, not done in keeping with parliamentary decorum and specifically this particular rule. And it came at this hour to cause confusion in our country on a very important matter. It seeks to place a blanket and conceal a serious matter here, particularly in the Western Cape and Cape Town. You must rule it out of order, Chair, in terms of the rules. You are empowered as the chairperson to reject this amendment because it came without complying with 121 sub 2.
Thank
It was
you.
an ambush and it's not parliamentary.
Honorable members, I indeed
But on a
received-
point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Malema, before you continue, I must indicate that I received the amendment when the member moved it. It was checked by the secretary or the secretary available in the House, and the amendment was then subsequently, not resolutions, there were declarations made by the different political parties on it. So the amendment to that motion is in front of us. Honorable Malema?
No, on a point of order, Chair. We were ambushed with the motion. We were given the motion while the person who's proposing the amendment to the motion was already speaking to the amendment of the motion. And the rule just simply says you can't, in its spirit, it says you cannot ambush people and expect us to make substantive inputs on something that is just presented before us here. But on a different point, Chair, the amendment seeks to change the whole resolution. What is the point of having a debate on something? We are saying ad hoc committee. And the simple way is to go to the motion and then defeat it, not to introduce something that fundamentally changes the possible resolution on the motion that is presented before the House. We must not allow that degeneration. We must be very clear that it cannot be correct to amend and change the possible resolution of a motion presented before the House. The ANC, we understand where they come from. There is a huge
Thank you.
allegation in KZN that the ANC
Thank
is
you,
a
Honorable
beneficiary of
Malema.
extortion.
You have made your point. Honorable members, as a member of who attend the Chief Whips Forum regularly, and other members, and maybe it's something that we need to emphasize as well between the different political parties, is that whether you agree or not on something, is that you use the mechanisms inside that forum to talk to one another and discuss things with one another. So you did speak to them, Honorable Ndlozi. You did speak to them, so there was a matter, some consultation or discussion taking place. Now you see, now that means that the amendment that's in front of us must now be decided upon. I wanted to say, before you, Honorable Mente, and those members who have been here from the 6th Parliament will agree, that it's always collegial to inform one another that this is what is, but you said now you discussed it with them. So if you discussed it, that you will inform them. So whatever discussion took place there, whether you agreed with it or not, we expect as the presiding officers that that collegiality is there, that you discuss things with one another, so that when it comes to the House, that everybody is on the same page. We don't want anybody to be ambushed. That is not the idea. But since you, Honorable Ndlozi, indicated that you did speak to them, then it means that there were discussions amongst you. Honorable Ndlozi?
No, House Chair, with respect, this is a classic case of sabotage, more than ambush. The honorable members of the DA never consulted anyone. They never consulted anyone. They brought this motion, read it, spoke to it. then you gave us the copies after. The motion that was consulted upon is the original motion, of which they had no view on. They never got back to us. So I'm saying to you, we even asked, do you want to make amendments? Because we were passionate about this matter being raised above political party colors. There was no consultation. It's a classic case of sabotage. And it must be rejected with respect, Honorable Chair. Please rule in the interest of the rules of the House, in the interest of the decorum. If you rule in favor of this motion, you are rendering Parliament useless. It's a circus. It means we can just come and play cards over serious matters of our people. We should have applied our minds
Thank you, Honourable
properly to
Ndlozi.
this motion.
Honourable
in terms
members.
of this amendment. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, I've consulted with the table staff here, and it is my inclination that I will allow the decision on the amendment to stand over, to allow for consultation, proper consultation between the political parties, and we will bring it back to the House tomorrow immediately after the question session. Thank you. Honourable members, we now come to motions without notice. Does any member of the ANC wish to give a motion without notice? The ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. The African National Congress.
Order, honourable members. Will those members who are leaving do so quietly, and the others who remain in the chamber, can you also just quiet down, please? Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. The ANC moves without notice that the House notes that Tourism Month is celebrated annually in September to promote domestic travel, showcase the country's diverse tourism offerings, and to highlight the sector's significant contribution to the South African economy. Further notes that the theme for Tourism Month this year is Tourism and Peace, 30 years of connecting people to places and cultures. Believes that Tourism Month festivities are held throughout the country to highlight a plethora of tourism offerings in our 9 provinces. Understand that World Tourism Day is celebrated globally on the 27th of September as declared by UN Tourism, and the day affords the global tourism community an opportunity to reflect and commemorate its milestone in relation to the fulfillment of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Invites all South Africans to participate in the month-long celebration and to gain a better understanding of the affordable, exciting, and world-class attractions that are available on our doorstep. Thank you.
Honourable members, if there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. The Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes with sadness the passing of Mr. Greg Crumbach, a member of the Democratic Alliance and its forerunner organizations for 47 years on the 3rd of September 2024. Remembers that Mr. Crumbach served as a Member of Parliament for a full 5-year term, full 5 terms, and that he represented the Moyamgani constituency in KwaZulu-Natal. Acknowledges that Mr. Crumbach's brilliance and vast experience assisted the DA to expand its voter base during local and national elections, where he also played an instrumental role in winning the Mngani local municipality after an 18-year campaign. Recognizes the selfless and dedicated way in which Mr. Crumbach always prized the prosperity of the country above all, conveys its deepest condolences to his wife, Ms. Susan Cheek, his friends and colleagues in the DA during this sad time. May his soul rest in everlasting peace. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. The MK Party.
Honourable Chair, I raise on behalf of MK. What's the problem? I rise on behalf of MK and
Order,
the people
honorable
of
members.
South Africa. A motion without notice that number 1, the House notes with joy and admiration the 102nd birthday of Ugogo Mahene, a remarkable South African veteran of our liberation struggle. That the House celebrates her incredible longevity, which is a product of the progressive policies implemented under the visionary leadership of President Zuma. Those whose administration significantly increased life expectancy and focus on the health and well-being of all citizens. That the House recognizes Gogo Mahene as a dedicated struggle activist who, in her wisdom, left the ANC under Ramaphosa's leadership to join Umkhonto weSizwe, reaffirming her commitment to the true liberation. Furthermore, the House acknowledged her role as the mother of revolutionary singers Blondie and Papa Mahene, whose music continued to inspire many in the ongoing fight for justice and equality. That the House commends Gogo Mahene for her unwavering dedication to the cause of freedom, her resilience and
Honourable member, your time is now
for the
expired.
future generations. So I move.
Thank you. I now put the motion. Are there any objections? Yes, honourable member.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. The ANC object.
The motion is not agreed to. The EFF.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I rise on behalf of the EFF for the House to note that private security guards employed by security companies and appointed as service providers by the state wear ballot gloves when on duty. Note that they wear the ballot gloves and proceed to commit serious criminal acts and are unknown to the communities and by victims. Further note, the practice of wearing ballot gloves is widespread across law enforcement agencies, including by the South African Police Services and parliamentary protection officers. Recognize that the security industry is becoming more powerful as there are more security guards, and with the freedom to commit such crimes undetected, they are turning into hired guns legitimized by a powerful industry. Further recognize that these security guards wearing ballot gloves have the potential to be used to harass, victimize, and kill citizens who seek to exercise their constitutional right to protest because they will not be identified and prosecuted and will never be prosecuted. Acknowledge that it was easy for the security guards to murder a citizen in broad daylight in front of witnesses because they were wearing ballot gloves. Call for the immediate end of ballot gloves use by security guards, police officers, parliamentary protection officers, and other law enforcement personnel in municipalities. I so move, Chair.
Honourable members, and now put the motion. Are there any objections? Yes, honourable member. Order.
Thanks, Chair. As the ANC object.
There's an objection. The motion is not agreed to. The ANC. Why do you want to rise, honourable member?
No, Chair, I just want to caution that we're coming from here. Maybe the member is new in the 7th Parliament. In the 5th and 6th Parliament, when they started this, they
No,
cried.
honourable member, that's
they
not
must
the
not
point of-
object to such
that's
serious
not the point
matters.
of order.
It's very important to pay attention.
Not a point of order. The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair.
Order, honourable members. There's a member in the chamber who's on the floor. I've recognized the member in the chamber. Please proceed, honourable member.
Thank you, House Chair. The
Chair, I think you must just note what Honorable Mente said.
Honourable
Because
member,
we are going to start.
you are not- Honourable Malema, you are not recognized.
We are going to stand up here and say someone died. and
You
we'll
are not
reject that.
recognized, honourable Malema. Please proceed, honourable member.
Chair, please recognize
thank
Honorable
you,
Malema. His
Chair.
hand is up.
The
Whose hand
African
is up?
National Congress
Honorable
therefore
Malema's
moves
hand
without
was up.
notice
Please recognize
Yes,
him.
I recognized him now.
that
He
the
did
House,
speak. Please proceed.
The African National Congress therefore moves without notice that the House note the following. Number one, beams with pride and the world records being broken by South Africa's athletes.
The EFF rejected that motion of the ANC.
Order, honorable members. Order.
Number two, acknowledge that the team South Africa has collected 5 medals at the Paralympic Games with Nompumelo Mhlongo and Simons Kruger raising to gold with Mhlongo in games with Mpumelelo on the men's 100-meter T44 and Kruger in the discussion challenge, winning the record of 38.70 with her final throw. And bronze medal from Luzene Kutse, women's T11 with 150-meter Nikonals, Peter de Brutis means HI individual.
Order, honorable Ndlozi. Proceed, honorable member.
And the wheelchair tennis duo of Ronald Rampele and Lucas Sotole. And number 3, to congratulate Team South Africa on their amazing performances and wishes them well in their sporting careers. Thank you very much, House Chair.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I, Honorable Dr. Managa, I stand before this House. I'm saying to the ANC.
Honorable member, are you?
bring
No,
the
you can't make a speech. You say you object or you
It's
agree.
not a speech. Listen to
No,
me.
honorable member. You are not going to write your own rules in the House. You either say you object to the motion or not. That's
I'm
it.
saying to the member, bring the substantial motion. SEFF
Thank
will
you.
object the motion.
Thank you very much. The IFP, the motion is not agreed to. The IFP.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. The Inkatha Freedom Party moves without notice that this House, one, congratulates Paralympic athlete Mpumelelo Mhlongo
Order, honorable members.
for winning South Africa's first gold medal at the Paralympics at Stade de France in Paris on 1st September 2024. Applauds Mhlongo for finishing first in the T44 100 meter in 11.12 seconds. Acknowledges that Mhlongo set a new world record in the men's T44 jump category. Further acknowledges that Mhlongo won a bronze medal in the men's 200 meter T64 final. And lastly, wishes Mhlongo continued success in his future sporting endeavors. I so move. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. The Patriotic Alliance.
House Chair, I hereby move on behalf of the PA without notice that the House notes that the Kraaifontein-born Cheslin Kobe launched the Cheslin Kobe Foundation on the 1st of July 2024. Further notes that the foundation was jointly established with his wife Leila Kobe. Acknowledges that 30-year-old Mr. Kobe is a South African professional rugby union player who currently plays for the South African national team. Recognizes that he was part of the team that won the Rugby World Cup in 2019 and 2023, was the best top 14 player in the World Cup. The Champions Cup with Toulouse, the Currie Cup with Western Province, the Challenge Cup with Toulon. Expresses its appreciation that the Cheslin Kobe Foundation focuses on sports resourcing and development, school visits and upliftment, gang violence awareness, combating gender-based violence, uplifting underprivileged communities, food security and water and sanitation improvements. Further appreciates that Mr. Kobe is giving back to communities by providing resources such as boots and rugby balls to young aspiring sports stars, and congratulates Mr. Kobe and wishes him and his wife Leila and everyone working at the Cheslin Kobe Foundation success as they continue to help local communities in South Africa. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. The Freedom Front Plus.
Honourable Chairperson, I hereby move on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus that this House, 1, supports the South African Revenue Service, SARS's decision to appoint a panel of specialist tax consulting firms to assist in tackling non-compliance and dealing with sophisticated tax structures. 2, take note that SARS announced a new tender on Monday, the 26th of August, for appointment of a panel of specialist tax consulting firms for 5 years. 3, appreciates that these appointments would enable SARS to catch tax evaders, tackle non-compliance, and acquire additional capacity to deal with highly complex and sophisticated tax structures. 4, also understand that this panel would be empowered to raise assessments, conduct audits, and even collect taxes due to SARS, thus fulfilling the Revenue Authority's mandate. And 5th, acknowledges that with this latest initiative of enlisting specialized tax consulting and compliance services from the private sector, SARS has made it clear its zero tolerance on taxpayer and trader non-compliance. I so move. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. Action SA.
House Chair, I, Lerato Mikate Kongobeni, on behalf of Action SA, move without notice that the House notes that South Africa faces a severe crisis of illegal immigration driven by a weak border controls and enforcement exacerbated by a rampant corruption within the Department of Home Affairs and the widespread abuse of our immigration laws. Acknowledges that this crisis demands urgent and decisive action to overhaul our immigration system and restore the integrity of our borders. Notes that on the 23rd of September 2024, concerned and patriotic South Africans will gather in Pretoria from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock to petition the government to take immediate action against the failures of our current immigration regime. Recognizes that every effort must be made to protect our country from the clutches of criminal syndicates involved in human trafficking, drug smuggling, which exploit the weakness.
Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. The ANC.
House Chair, we object before
Order,
they read.
order, honourable members. Order. Please proceed, honourable member.
Thank you, House Chair. The African National Congress moves without notice that the House congratulate the Springbok on beating the All Blacks in thrilling rugby champion term.
We object.
Order, honourable members.
September 2024.
We object.
That we remember that the Springbok won the match with 18-12 after trailing 9-3 at the break. Acknowledges that they have now beaten All Blacks 4 times in a row. That 5
Honourable
times
Ndlozi. Honourable Ndlozi, please. Even though you don't agree, please listen. No, don't take any explanation. I'm calling you to order now. Please continue, honourable member.
That for 4 times in a row, the first time they've done it since 1949, and the first time in 2009, that they've managed to get their hands on the Freedom Cup. Believes it was a game of 2 halves from the host, one that saw them starter and fatter in the first, but from the back, and demonstrated the quality in depth in the second, and congratulate the Springbok on fulfilling the championship test and increasing their lead on the top of the table. I thank you, House Chair.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? Honourable Mawatwe.
Yes, House Chair, we object. Can
Thank
the
you.
member please bring
No,
up the motion
no,
with videos to support this
honourable
claims?
member.
Please.
Honourable members. Honourable members and Honourable Chief Whip. Order, honourable members. Honourable Chief Whip of the largest party.
The CCT on that day.
May I request that tomorrow morning when we convene,
Yes, so we say the first
there's another
CCT
discussion on the
provincial
platform. Whoever it is, that discussion must be terminated. May I request, Honourable Chief Whip of the largest party, that tomorrow when you meet with these Chief Whips, that you please have a discussion around the matter of motions without order, motions without notice, because it's very difficult to continue in this manner. It really defeats the purpose. Order. Order. It defeats the purpose why we have motions without notice.
Is the ANC that started
There's
this
an
nonsense,
objection.
and they
Order,
know we
Honourable
stopped this thing
Malema.
in the previous, in the
Honourable
parliament.
Malema.
We dealt with this thing.
Just
There's
switch
a
off the
new chief whip
microphone of the
ANC.
honourable member, please. Honourable Malema. The motion is not agreed to. The ACDP.
House Chair, on a point of order.
House Chair.
There's two members now of the EFF on the platform. Which one?
Give the chief whip.
wants to
Give
be
the
heard?
chief whip,
The chief
Chair.
whip? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Two issues. So there are two issues. What you are saying, the chief whip of the majority must do tomorrow. It's a waste of time. The ANC started this nonsense. And secondly, you can't just
honorable
easily
members.
switch off members without even
Honorable
giving them an
members.
opportunity to explain
Honorable members.
what they are talking about.
I am honorable members. Order. Honorable members here in the chamber. I'm not going to allow a discussion now about something that must be discussed outside of this forum. In terms of the order, we are busy with order. In terms of order, we are dealing with motions without notice.
But House Chair,
It's
if
not
you
a
brought
discussion
that,
about motions without notice.
but if you brought this matter, you could have allowed it to
Honorable
say
member,
it in the forum.
discuss it in the Chief Whip's forum tomorrow. The ACDP.
Yeah, but you must not start things and then you don't want to be discussed. If you
honorable
want-
member,
you've waited for
honorable
the
member,
Chief Whip forum tomorrow.
Honorable member, I'm not going to allow discussions now because you are simply now delaying what we are busy with, and the item is motions without notice. Please discuss.
Then
it
stop giving. Then
politically.
stop giving guidance on things that must happen to the whips. Meetings
Honorable,
tomorrow.
Honorable
Focus on what
Dlamini,
you
you are now
working
out
on.
of order. You are out of order.
No, but I'm cautioning you to say,
No,
let's focus
I
on
rule you out
again.
of order.
On cautioning you not to do
ACDP.
wrong things.
Thank you, House Chair. House
But
Chair,
focus, Chair.
I move.
May I recognize the honorable member here in front? Yes, honorable member, why do you want to rise?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I just want to correct you. The ANC is not the majority here. There's no majority.
No, I didn't
Just
refer.
from 29 May,
No,
Chair. They are the biggest party, not the
no,
majority.
no, honorable member.
They are not the majority, Chair.
Don't,
It's wrong for you to
honorable
say
member,
that.
don't shout at
Don't
me.
you walk around thinking that the majority they are not.
Honorable
they are
member,
the biggest party in
honorable
parliament.
member.
Please.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable minister, please don't join in. I never referred. I did not, honorable Mawatwe, please don't shout at me. I addressed it to the chief whip of the largest party. That is what I did, not the majority party. The ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, I move without notice on behalf of the ACDP that the House congratulates Dr. Cleve Robertson, who retires as Chief Executive Officer.
Honorable members, Honorable Swart, Honorable Ndlozi, I now want to caution you. Please stop the discussions. If you want to have a discussion with any member of the ANC, go outside, and not in the recent past, but earlier, you can have tea outside and discuss it over tea. But I'm not going to recognize you. Take your discussions outside, please, not here. No, I'm not recognizing you. Honorable Ndlozi, I'm not recognizing you. Really?
Provoked by the minister.
No,
and
don't
you are not
allow
calling him to
yourself,
order.
don't allow yourself to be provoked by the minister.
Provocation.
No, please take your
From the
seat.
executive.
Please take your
Protect
seat now.
me from the minister.
Take your seat. You,
Tiger is busy with me here.
honorable member, please take your seat. Honorable Swart.
I move without notice on behalf of the ACDP that the House congratulates Dr. Cleve Robertson, who retires as Chief Executive Officer of the National Sea Rescue Institute at the end of this month. Notes that Dr. Robertson leaves behind a rich legacy of growth and innovation, and that under his leadership, the NSRI expanded its volunteer base, increased the number of service locations, and achieved significant financial independence. Notes further that he was instrumental in strategic shifts towards preventative measures in water safety, potentially saving countless lives. Notes that his personal connection to and unwavering commitment to the NSRI dates back to his own rescue in 1986. Wishes Dr. Robertson well in his retirement and congratulates Mr. Mike Fonk, who will take over as CEO next month, trusting that he will take the NSRI, which has saved so many lives over so many years, to even greater heights. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. The DA?
Oops.
The DA?
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes with sadness the passing of Ms. Bonita Jacobs, a long-serving City of Cape Town councillor, at the age of 64 years old on 28 August 24. Remembers that Ms. Jacobs dedicated her career to providing an integral service to residents in various roles for more than 20 years, and that she served as the representative for Ward 30 at the time of her passing. Acknowledges that Ms. Jacobs was praised by residents for her apolitical service delivery. Recognizes the selflessness of volunteers and public servants like Ms. Jacobs, who put the welfare of the residents they serve above those of their political affiliations. Conveys its condolences to the residents of Greater Athlone and Manenberg, who have lost an excellent representative. Conveys its deepest condolences to the friends and family of Ms. Jacobs in their time of bereavement. May her soul rest in peace. I so move. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The MK Party.
House Chairperson, I rise on behalf of the mpofu-walsh Party and the people of South Africa to move without notice that the House notes with grave concern the proposed 40% electricity tariff increase by Eskom, which will pose a significant economic burden on the working class and will drive millions into poverty. The DA-ANC coalition will penalize the poor for corporate interests. The House must call upon the government and reject any tariff hikes that disproportionately affect
Order, honorable members. Order.
vulnerable in honor of President Jacob Zuma's legacy, who fought for the poor.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? There's an objection. The EFF.
Thanks, Chair. The ANC object.
I've noted the objection already. The EFF.
I rise on behalf of the EFF for the House to note that following the murder of Uyinene Mrwetyana in August 2019, there were many commitments on funding for gender-based violence intervention. For the House to note that in the past 5 years, the government, civil society, and private sector committed funding to help fight the scourge of gender-based violence. For the House to acknowledge that today there is no consolidated overview for the funding that has been contributed to fight the scourge of gender-based violence. For the House to recognize that as the 7th Parliament, if we start our oversight without a proper understanding of the resources available, we will not be able to conduct a proper oversight of the executive on the interventions necessary to fight the scourge of gender-based violence. For the House to resolve to write to the leader of government business to demand a comprehensive cabinet report of all budgets across all spheres of government spent on the gender-based violence in the past 5 years, including the 50 million that was committed by the President. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The UDM. Order. The UDM. The ANC.
Apologies, House Chair. Sorry, House Chair. I'm on the line. I'm on the platform. Sorry.
Please proceed.
The United Democratic Movement moves without notice that the House congratulates Bafana Bafana and Mamelodi Sundowns star Rowan Williams for making history by being nominated as one of the goalkeepers for the prestigious Yashin Trophy at the Ballon d'Or Awards. Further congratulates Williams as the first South African to earn this notable recognition and the only African player in the 10 nominees for the Goalkeeper of the Year award, named after the great Russian shotstopper, Lev Yashin. Acknowledges that Williams has been a top performer for both Sundowns and the national team in recent years, and his excellent performance especially has been evident in the continental tournament, the AFCON for Bafana Bafana. Further acknowledgement comes after hitting international headline news in February with his superb performance, helping Bafana Bafana with the bronze medal at the AFCON in Ivory, for which he was named the goalkeeper of the tournament. Wishes Williams all the best for his nomination and for his future career. Thank you so much. I so move.
Thank you. I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The ANC.
Thanks, House Chair. The ANC moves without notice that the House notes with deep sadness the passing on of the multiple award-winning praise poet and singer, Dr. Bishop Jessica Mbangeni, also known as Imbongi in isiXhosa. She passed on Saturday, the 31st of August, 2024, after a short illness. We acknowledge that she was renowned for her powerful poetic skills, which she showcased at prestigious ceremonies across the country, such as in the 46664 concerts of the late former President Nelson Mandela in Cape Town and former President Thabo Mbeki's inauguration in 1999. Understands that Mbangeni discovered her talent for praise poetry at the age of 22 and later joined the Soweto Gospel Choir in 2022, which allowed her to tour different parts of the world, including North America, Scotland, New Zealand, and Germany. Remembers her as a heroine and an ambassador of African culture and heritage. And we convey our deepest condolences to the family and colleagues of Dr. Mbangeni. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. Rise Mzansi.
Bafana leading 2-1 in Juba. It's half time. I move without notice, Chairperson, that this House notes the passing of Tshwane Metro Police Department officer Constable Rizin Nesi, who was killed while on duty when his TMPD motorcycle was struck by a vehicle on the 7th of September 2024. Further notes that Constable Nesi leaves behind family and colleagues, recognizes that Constable Nesi has been celebrated as a professional and dedicated officer who is always willing to go above and beyond the call of duty, and resolved that this House conveys its condolences to the Constable Nesi family and the city of Tshwane.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. Bosa.
I move without notice on behalf of Build One South Africa that the House notes with deep sadness the passing of Thabiso Sikwane, a celebrated radio presenter, a journalist, an activist who made significant contributions to South Africa's media landscape. That the House recognizes Thabiso's dedication to championing social justice causes and advocating for marginalized communities throughout her career, and acknowledges the impact of her work in promoting awareness on issues affecting South Africans and uplifting the voices of those who are often unheard. That the House conveys its heartfelt condolences to her family, to her friends, to her colleagues during this time of grief, and pays tribute to her enduring legacy in both the media industry and our broader society. Alale. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. ATM.
Thank you, Chair. I move without notice on behalf of the ATM that this House congratulates Babalwa Ntombam Mbuku, who is the founder of Ntombam Sanitary Towels, for her remarkable recognition in the DRAM Top 50 Women Power List for 2024, acknowledges her significant achievement in being recognized amongst the most influential women, reflecting her dedication to improving access to essential sanitary products and her impactful contribution to women's health and empowerment. Further acknowledges the success of Ntombam Sanitary Towels in providing innovative solutions and addressing critical needs within the community, thereby enhancing the quality of life for many women. Expresses our profound pride and admiration for Babalwa Ntombambuku, Buku's accomplishments and her role in driving positive change through her entrepreneurial efforts. I so move. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The African National Congress moves without notice that the House acknowledges that Mzondelelo High School maths teacher Vuyoletu Kwekwe has done it again, claiming the coveted title of the Eastern Cape Province Best Mathematics Teacher at the provincial competition held at the East London International Convention Centre last week. Further acknowledges that the maths and science teacher recently scooped the MEC's award for extra and co-curricular activities in 2023 after playing a pivotal role in uplifting the pupils and staff at the Zwido School. Remembers that Kwekwe started extra classes for pupils, managed to secure a full bursary last year for one of the pupils to attend Rhodes University, and begged 100,000 for the school and 10,000 for himself after winning the Ukozi FM school competition earlier in 2023. Understands that while he may be head of Department of Mathematics, he is better known for having a heart of gold, for always taking care of needy learners. And we congratulate Mr. Kwekwe on his award, and we thank him for his dedication and commitment, and wishes him well when he competes in the upcoming National Teacher Awards for Excellence. Thank you very much.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. Al-Jama.
Thank you, Chair. Al-Jama moves without notice that the House notes the death of Mr. James Matthews, who was one of South Africa's noteworthy anti-apartheid poets and a notable publisher who died on the 7th of September 2024 at the age of 95 at his home in Silvertown, Cape Town. Further notes that he was born in District 6, Cape Town, and that he attended the District 6-based Trafalgar High School. Acknowledges that he was an articulator of the Black consciousness philosophy, and during the apartheid era his poetry was banned. Further acknowledges that he was detained by the apartheid government in 1976 and that he was denied a passport for 13 years. Recognizes that he was known as the rebel writer, whom during the liberation struggle was a voice of resistance. Further acknowledges that he worked as a co-editor along the martyred Imam Abdullah Harun, who died in 1969, at the fortnightly Muslim News since 1986, known as Muslim Views, as a sub-editor, that this House sends a message of condolences to the family. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The DA.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes with great pride the remarkable achievement of Mr. Musa Mota, who stole the show as he performed during the opening ceremony of the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris, France. Acknowledges that Mr. Mota's performance served as a massive inspiration for all persons with disabilities, particularly within the creative industry, to pursue their dreams. Recognizes that by virtue of such a performance taking place on an international stage, Mr. Mota's performance presents a true reflection of the indomitable South African spirit, and that this House conveys its congratulations to Mr. Mota on his achievements and wishes him well in his future endeavors. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The NCC.
The NCC is covered for today, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The ANC. The ANC.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The African National Congress moves without notice that the House firstly congratulates South Africa's teenage sprint sensation from Katlehong, Bayanda Walaza, on winning a golden double at the 2024 World Athletics U20 Championships in Lima, Peru, on Friday, 30 August 2024. Secondly, notes that the 18-year-old Walaza, who is in grade 12, blew away his competitors in the 200-meter in the early hours of Saturday morning to win the time of 20:52. Thirdly, understands that 200-meter gold came a couple of days after he won the gold in the 100-meter. Fourthly, the House remembers that this comes after a month Walaza formed part of South Africa's medal-winning 4 times 100 team, at the Paris Olympics in France. Fifthly, acknowledges that Walaza also became the first man since Christian Malcolm of Great Britain to win the 100-meter and 200-meter titles at the championships. And lastly, commends Bayanda Walaza for lifting the country's flag high. And this is a testament that when young South Africans, particularly from the townships and rural areas, are given an opportunity, they can compete and excel at the world stage. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The PAC, the UAT.
No motion from UAT.
Thank you. Good. The MK Party.
Honourable House Chair, I hereby move without notice on behalf of MK that this House notes with deep concern that on the morning of the 4th of September 2024, a black woman known to us was tragically mauled and dismembered to death by a pack of pit bulls while crossing an unfenced Boshoff farmland in the Versantekral area, marking the third such fatal incident this year, caused by dogs owned by white farmers in this community. Further notes that despite the close proximity of the police station, it remains closed to the public. Acknowledges the alarming fact that these dangerous dogs continue to roam freely on the gateless and fenceless farm, which is totally open with children playing nearby, putting lives at risk, and calls upon the government and the Kraaifontein police station to urgently investigate these incidents, classifying them as farm murders and take appropriate action, and emphasizes the need for swift and decisive action to protect the public and prevent further loss of life. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? There's no objection. However, I'm aware that this motion was not circulated to parties. Can we ensure in future that we just circulate it before we put it? I listened to the motion. It's not of a controversial political nature, and that's why I'm allowing it. But please circulate in future. The Democratic Alliance.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes with sadness the recent fire in Jeppystown, Johannesburg on the 25th of August 2024, which claimed the lives of 4 residents and left others injured and displaced, remembers that this tragedy comes almost exactly a year after the infamous Usindiso building blaze that resulted in the death of 77 residents, including 12 children, acknowledges that these events expose the city of Johannesburg's lack of control over hijacked buildings in the inner city, recalls that the Commission of Inquiry laid the blame at the doors of the city and the associated Johannesburg Property Company, recognizes that hijacked buildings are not only a fire hazard, but also a risk for flooding, health issues, crime, gender-based violence, and sexual abuse, and ultimately violates the dignity of people, and that this matter should be resolved as soon as possible, and conveys its condolences to the victims and their families in this very difficult time. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objection? No objections. Agreed to. The ANC.
The African National Congress moves without notice that the House notes with shock and sadness the passing on of former ESCOM chairperson and MTN CEO Raymond Sifiso Dabengwa due to illness on Sunday, 1st September 2024, that the House acknowledges that Dabengwa was a titan in the telecommunications industry and an astute businessman, recognizes that his tenure as CEO of MTN from 2011 to 2015 was marked by visionary leadership, integrity, and dedication that drove significant advancements in the industry, remembers him as an advocate for education and a fervent believer in the power of technology to transform lives, and conveys its deepest condolences to the Dabengwa family and colleagues in the telecommunication industry. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. Honourable members, that concludes motions without notice. The last item on the order paper is notices of motion. Does any member of the ANC wish to give a notice of motion? The ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates strengthening ongoing initiatives to improve reading and numeracy of learners in public schools.
The DA.
Thank you, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the urgent need for a whole-of-society response to the escalating crisis of teenage pregnancy within the Republic. I so move.
The MK Party.
Chair, I rise on behalf of the mighty MK Party to give notice that I'll move for the House to note that Transnet recently released its results for the last financial year, posting a record loss of 7.3 billion rands. And during the term of Mr. Gama, Transnet recorded a net profit of 4.7 billion rands in 2018. In its briefing to Scopa this morning, Transnet presented a very shocking picture that in 2018, the freight volume stood at 226.3 million tons, and today it is at 151.7 tons, which is a 35% decline. The House should note with deep concern the financial and overall performance decline of one of South Africa's major state-owned enterprises at the heart of South Africa's economy.
Honourable Member, your time is now expired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can submit the rest of the motion to the table. The EFF.
Thank you, House Chair. I rise on behalf of economic freedom fighters to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the lack of decent sports and recreational facilities in poorer communities and how a culture of sport and recreation could play a meaningful role in addressing societal ills. I so move.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debates strengthening and promoting TVET and community colleges. Thank you.
Thank you. The IFP.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chairperson. I hereby give notice on behalf of the IFP that this House at its next sitting debate the damning Public Protector report, which pointed to the fact that both the Department of Police, Social Development and Justice are failing victims of gender-based violence. I so move.
The PA.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. No notice from the PA. Thank you.
Thank you. The Freedom Front Plus.
Dankie, voorsitter. Ek stel voor namens die VF Plus dat die parlement met sy volgende sitting vordering met grondhervorming bespreek. Grond is nie net 'n ekonomiese hulpbron nie, soos uit die verband tussen grond en land blyk. 'n Volk sonder grond is inderdaad 'n volk sonder land. Dit gaan oor die ekonomie, maar dit gaan ook oor identiteit. Daarom is dit belangrik om te weet presies waar ons staan. Ek stel so voor.
Thank you. Action SA.
Thank you, Chair. Action SA has nothing to declare. Thanks.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting, the House debates reviewing and expanding the basket of zero-rated food items. Thank you.
Thank you. The ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. The ACDP will move at the next sitting of the House that the House debates the poor state of the Road Accident Fund and our hundreds of cases arising from claims against the fund are clogging the High Court roll in Gauteng.
DA.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the current financial sustainability crisis facing the Republic's various water boards. I so move.
The MK Party.
Honourable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the MK Party and the people of South Africa to present a notice of motion for the National Assembly to discuss the urgent need for a comprehensive strategy to combat escalating drug issue in the country, particularly as it affects the youth in both our townships and suburbs. Among the 9 provinces, and in the last 3 months, the highest drug use has been in the Western Cape at 7.1%, administered by the DA, and killing our youth. Now, this discussion, Chairperson, should, amongst others, focus on the 6 key issues: the devastating impact of drug use on young people's lives, families, and communities, the increasing prevalence of drug-related crime and violence, the need for enhanced law enforcement efforts to target drug syndicates and traffickers, the importance of improving access to rehabilitation support services and effective youth, the development of preventative programs in schools, communities to address root causes of drug use and abuse, and the collaboration between government, civil society, local communities to create a holistic approach to eradicate drug abuse. Let's start with the Western Cape. I so move.
The EFF.
Chairperson, I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters that this parliament must note and discuss that the Charlotte Macheke Treatment Center is standing empty. Our country is sitting with a crisis of drug abuse, while drug abuse is a pandemic and the treatment center are in high demand. The state-of-the-art treatment center is standing empty. Only staff and security is working there. No patients, no treatment is happening. The center doesn't have a doctor, so the intake is very slow because patients must have a letter to be treated there. This is unacceptable. I so move.
The UDM. The ANC.
Thank you very much, House Chair.
Order.
I hereby move on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting, the House debates the question of how do we use industrial policy to re-industrialize our economy in order to create decent jobs in South Africa, and the role of the master plans in job creation. Thank you.
Rise Mzansi.
I move on behalf of Rise Mzansi that at its next sitting, this House debate the ongoing water crisis faced by South Africans and the need for a plan to ensure that all South Africans have access to quality water and sanitation services. I so move, and I can some so much too.
Thank you. Pausa.
Thank you, House Chair. I move on behalf of Build One South Africa that at its next sitting, the House debates the efficacy and accuracy of the current National Registry for sex offenders and its ability to, 1, prevent new and repeat sexual offenses, and to 2, protect vulnerable persons. I so move.
Thank you. ATM. ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debates intensifying South Africa's diplomatic relations to enhance peace across the globe. I so move.
Al-Jama.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of Al-Jama that the House at the next sitting discuss the unemployment of thousands of professional nurses, which negatively impacts on the healthcare and services in hospitals throughout South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. The DA.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the DA that at its next sitting, the House debates the collapse of the South African Post Office, which faces day 0 at the end of October 2024. I so move.
The NCC. The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting, the House debate assessing and reviewing administrative and regulated tariffs, including electricity pricing policy and water policy. I so move. Thank you.
The PAC. UAT.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the UAT that at the next sitting, the House must debate the urgent need for more effective strategy to combat the growing crisis of Nyaupe drug addiction, which is severely affecting our communities, particularly black youth. I so move.
Thank you. Good. The MK Party.
The lack of access to affordable housing, especially the poor and working class citizens. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of Mdntv Party and the people of South Africa to move with the notice of motion that the House notes with deep concern the growing unrest among South Africans due to the lack of access to affordable housing, particularly for the poor and working class citizens, recognize the failure of the Government of National Unity to deliver on its promises of housing for all, leaving millions living in dire conditions, acknowledges that current housing policies disproportionately benefit the wealthy and politically connected, calls upon the Department of Human Settlements to urgently implement a more inclusive housing policy, prioritizing low-income families. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. The DA.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the funding crisis created by national government's failure to transfer to provincial governments the full budget payments due to them. I so move.
The ANC.
Thanks, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates increasing disaster response capacity and funding. I so move.
Thank you. Honourable members, I now request you to stand and wait for the chairperson and the mace to leave the chamber. That concludes notices of motions and the business for the day. The House is adjourned.